Well, we're back, and sooner than expected because we have a double game week coming up, and this is the first set of fixtures we will see. But first, as always, we're going to react to my predictions for the last game week. I didn't do too well. So we're going to start off with the Friday match, and that was Brentford versus Brighton over Albion. Now, I predicted 3-1 to Brighton, but it was 2-0 to Brentford, and I must say, I did not expect that. But Brentford never really gave Brighton a chance to get into the game and really dictated play from the start. I watched this match, I was expecting an easy Brighton win, and I was very, very mistaken. Brighton did have their chances, don't get me wrong, but Raya made some amazing saves to keep a clean sheet for Brentford. Tony flicked in the first goal and then kept his pen record up to secure all 3 points. Fair play to Brentford. De Zerbi is still searching for his first Brighton win. And then we move on to Saturday's matches, and we start off with Leicester City versus Crystal Palace. Now I predicted 2-1 to Crystal Palace. It was actually a 0-0 draw. Now Leicester were dominant throughout this game, but neither side could take all 3 points. Zaha never really got into the game. He was kind of blocked out by Leicester. And, Leicester managed to keep Palace quiet for the most part. Neither side were clinical, but Gaita pulled out some amazing saves to split the points. Maddison also saw a yellow, so he's out for the next match. Very unfortunate for Leicester. And then move on to Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Nottingham Forest. Playtime for Nottingham Forest did not go as expected. Forest did not look great here, and while both teams had chances, it was ultimately Wolves' penalty that gave them all 3 points. Johnson also failed to convert his penalty, so Forest could not find an equaliser. That's not for lack of trying, especially in those last 15 minutes or so, we really came alive. The game was there for the taking, and unfortunately, we couldn't take it. Classic Forest at this point. And then we move on to Fulham versus Bournemouth. Now I predicted 2-1 to Fulham. It was actually 2-2 draw, and it was a very lively game from the two newly promoted clubs. Bournemouth held the lead going into the second half, but a Mitrovic penalty shared the points in London. It was some brilliant play from Bournemouth that saw them go ahead in the second minute of the game, but Fulham put it back through Diop. Honestly, I wish I watched this game over the Forest match because this had goals, it was a good game. Fair play to both teams actually for splitting the points. For our final Saturday game, we have Tottenham versus Everton. Now I predicted 3-1 to Tottenham. It was actually 2-0 to Tottenham. Not a brilliant game, but full of second half action. Everton had a fair few chances to go ahead, but fluffed their lines multiple times, and it took a Harry Kane penalty to open the scoring. And from then on in, it was never really in doubt that Tottenham were going to take all 3 points. Also, what a goal from Højbjerg. It was a deflection, but what a goal nonetheless. Though it did hurt me seeing Garner and Spence on different teams. I was not a fan of that. And finally, move on to Sunday's matches with Southampton versus West Ham United. And I predicted 2-0 to West Ham. It's actually a 1-1 draw. And you know what? Fair play to the Saints for grabbing a point here. They managed to hold out West Ham for most of the match. And they looked pretty good, to be fair. And it was a brilliant deflected strike to put Southampton ahead. But Rice had other ideas in the second half with his own superb strike. Southampton were the better side for most of this match, in my opinion. But West Ham came alive after Rice's goal and should have sealed it. But unfortunately for them, they couldn't manage it. And then move on to Manchester United versus Newcastle United. Now I predicted a 2-2 draw. It was actually 1-0, so I got a draw correct. But there was a hard-fought point for each team. Some goal shenanigans happened with a free kick that was supposedly taken but wasn't given from Ronaldo. But United should have had a pen when Sancho was taken down. I'm not sure how United didn't get a penalty there. I thought it should have been a penalty, but it was never given. And Pope had a howler too when he decided to come out to Rashford. What is that man planning? United were the better side in that match, but neither team could find the net at the end of the day, so neither team took the points. I move on to Leeds versus Arsenal. Now I predicted 3-1 to Arsenal. It was actually 1-0 to Arsenal, and it was another tough match for the away side this week, as Leeds put up a great showing against Arsenal and tried Ramsdale multiple times. But it was a brilliant goal from Saka that did enough to take all 3 points back to London. Bamford scored a brilliant goal, but unfortunately it didn't stand. He also missed a penalty and got himself involved in some drama too. What a way to seal your start back in the Leeds side. And then move on to Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Now I predicted 3-0 to Chelsea. It was actually only 2-0 to Chelsea, and it was Mount actually that gave Chelsea a brace and took home all 3 points. Now I knew Potter would change Mount's fortunes, and it looks like he has. He's looking quite a different player from when they were under Tuchel. What an amazing performance from him. A robbery in the first half and an amazing free kick for the second. Mount is flying right now. Get him on that plane. Kepa pulled out some brilliant saves to keep Chelsea ahead. He's been phenomenal since he was brought back in, to be honest. He's doing well. There's not much to say about Villa, really. They weren't great. However, they did create a couple chances. However, couldn't break down Chelsea. Another L for Gerrard. And the final match of this game week is Liverpool versus Manchester City. Now I predicted 4-2 to City. but it was actually a 1-0 win to Liverpool. And this was a shock win. I don't think anybody expected Liverpool to come away with anything here, but they took all 3 points. Despite not having a lot of the ball, being ran around by City, they managed to win it. It was a Pep disaster class as he overprepared for this match. Haaland continues his blanks against Liverpool, Community Shield, and now this match. He just can't score against them. Foden had a goal chalked off, which could have changed this match if it stayed, but it was Salah coming off the back of his European hat-trick that netted here to take all 3 points. And it was a brilliant assist from Alisson as well. It really gave Liverpool a shot of confidence when they needed it, but they'll be without Klopp for a couple matches as he saw red. So yeah, that was Game Week 11. I got no predictions correct. I got some results right, but no correct predictions for me. A nightmare. Also a nightmare in FPL, but we won't talk about that. I let myself off though, as I did get 3 correct last week, but I should have done better here. We got double Game Week coming up though, so let's hope I can do better. And we're going to look at this first set of fixtures right now. On Tuesday night, we have Brighton and Hove Albion hosting my beloved Nottingham Forest. But I can only see one thing here. Forest are going to get battered. Brighton haven't got off to the best start under De Zerbi, but this match will kickstart their new regime. Forest barely attack as is, and I think that's one of their faults this season. They really should be attacking from the off, but I can't see that changing. Yeah, it's going to be a tough week for us Forest fans. Brighton and Liverpool in the same week. God save me. I'm going to say 3-1 to Brighton. I can see a Brighton demolition job here. I think we could nab a goal, whether it's at the start of the match or at the end. I don't know, but I'm sure we'll score at least 1 goal. But again, Brighton are going to win. The Brighton squad is way ahead of Forest at the moment, and I can see players like Trossard, McAllister, Lallana and Gross causing a lot of damage here. It's not going to be good for Forest. Honestly, we'll be lucky to only concede 3. And then we move on to the second match of Tuesday night, Crystal Palace versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. After managing to score their 4th goal of the campaign, Wolves have edged out of the relegation zone and will be given a boost of confidence going into this match. Palace did draw a blank against Leicester, so we'll be looking to put this one behind them. I'm going to say 2-1 to Palace. This is a pretty tough match to call, as I feel both teams are quite evenly matched at the moment, but Palace have the advantage of being able to score goals. They have a potent attacking force, and I think they'll be out in full force against Wolves, especially at Selhurst Park. I'm backing Zaha to score here after being shut down against Leicester. He wanted to prove himself once again, and I think this is a good match to do it. And then we move on to Wednesday's match, which is Bournemouth versus Southampton. Another match that I think is going to be pretty hard to call. Bournemouth are flying high since promotion, sitting in the top half of the table, while Southampton are wallowing in the relegation zone. This seems like a common thing they do. It'll be a tough match for Southampton, I don't doubt that. Despite the quality they have in their side, they're not performing well this season. I'm going to go 2-1 to Bournemouth. Again, I'm going to go with another 2-1 prediction. I think Bournemouth are a team that should not be underestimated this season. They've performed really well so far, and they're looking to cement their position in the Premier League, which I feel they very well could do. Players like Billing and Solanke will cause Southampton a lot of problems, as their defence isn't looking too great at the moment. It's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not looking great. I can't really see anything but Bournemouth victory here. And then move on to Liverpool versus West Ham. Now, Liverpool will be flying high after that sensational win over Manchester City, and we're looking to kick off with their, so far, ropey season. Klopp will be absent, but I can't really see this affecting Liverpool too much, apart from him not being able to stare at the opposing side before the match. Both teams are suffering from injuries with the likes of Jota and Zuma out for either side. I'm going to say 3-0 to Liverpool though. I'm backing Liverpool to win this match, as West Ham aren't looking too great at the moment. Anfield is always a hard place to go, no matter the team, and with the Liverpool squad full of confidence after that shock win over City, it's going to be even harder for West Ham. All I can say is good luck. And then we see Brentford versus Chelsea. Now both teams are coming off the back of a bloody good win, but I can only see one thing here, and that's Chelsea winning this London derby. Chelsea have unfortunately, without James, so are England in the World Cup. Big loss because he's a great player, but you can't really say Villa are known for their attack this season. Both Mount and Tony have been in form recently and will cause problems for each side. As I said, Chelsea are going to win this 3-1. I think Tony will be able to sneak a goal, whether it's a cheeky one like he did against Brighton is yet to be seen, but Chelsea under Potter are a different beast, and they have a plethora of goal scorers within their side. While Brentford did embarrass them last season at Stamford Bridge, this is a very different Chelsea side with a different philosophy at the moment. We know Brentford love an upset, but I can't see them managing that here. I think Chelsea are going to take all 3 points. And then we move on to Newcastle United versus Everton. Now Newcastle managed to hold off United, whereas Everton did not beat them. So, using United as a litmus test, I think Newcastle are going to win this match. I could also see Newcastle knocking on the door of Europe this season. Honestly, it's possible they could actually make it because they're playing some great football. They've got some great players. It might be Newcastle who sneak into the top 6 this season. Everton are slowly climbing up the table, but that climb is currently stalled with them not gaining many points in their last couple of matches. I'm going to say 2-0 to Newcastle United. I don't think Everton will trouble Newcastle much, but they do need to find their shooting boots if they want to reignite their climb up the table. But I can't see Newcastle being a team that allows them to do that. I expect to see another Bruno Guimaraes masterclass incoming because he was amazing. Manchester United vs Tottenham Hotspur now, probably the biggest match of the week, with Arsenal Man City being postponed. Tottenham are sitting pretty in third, only losing one game, whereas United have been slowly climbing up the table, playing some good football. Tottenham will be out with Richarlison though, as he sustained an injury during that match against Everton. I'm going to say 2-1 to Tottenham though. I can see Tottenham just clinching this match, despite it being at Old Trafford. It'll probably be another Harry Kane penalty that gives them the lead, as that seems to be what happens a lot nowadays. He might even be the one that seals all 3 points for Tottenham. While United do have some great quality within their squad, they're currently not putting out as a consistent performance as Tottenham are, so it'll be interesting to see who takes all 3 points. Very much could be Tottenham. I'd say they're the better side at the moment. And finally, we move on to the Thursday matches, and we start off with Fulham versus Aston Villa. Fulham host a Villa side that are currently struggling in the league. Mitrovic is also back for Fulham, which is going to cause further problems for Aston Villa. He returned against Bournemouth and scored a goal to reopen his account after being out injured. A Villa defence looking shaky is there for the taking for Mitrovic, to be honest. And Villa, they haven't been able to score as many goals as they'd like, with their forwards not producing the results they would have wanted. I'm going to say 2-0 to Fulham. I can't see Villa getting anything out of this match. Fulham are working hard to cement a position in the Premier League and to get rid of that yo-yo club label, and this game will help them do that. Both teams are going to look to start winning matches again, but I think Mitrovic is going to be the deciding factor for this match. I think Fulham are going to take all 3 points. And finally, Leicester City versus Leeds United. Both teams do not have the best start to the season, but Leeds are definitely doing better than Leicester at the moment. Bamford looks to be getting better each match he's played, as obviously he hasn't been playing that much football recently, so the more he plays, the better he's going to get. He is a good player anyway. Leicester, however, will be without Maddison, who has been immense for them so far this season. I believe he's their top goal scorer at the moment. They're going to miss him desperately. Leeds look decent against Arsenal as well, despite losing the match, and I can see them doing some good here. I'm going to say 2-1 to Leeds United. I think Leicester will be missing Maddison a lot, as he's done so much for them this season, and Leeds will definitely have more quality available to them. And I think they'll be the deciding factor in this clash. I think we might see Bamford's first goal of the season here as well, as he's looking sharper and sharper, as I said. Whereas Leicester, their defence isn't great, and they're without one of their biggest goal scorers. It's not looking good for Leicester, but I think Leeds will take it. And those have been my Premier League predictions for Game Week 12. Game Week 13 is also right around the corner, so I shall release that video as soon as I can. Hopefully after all these matches have concluded, but I'm not sure yet. So keep a lookout for that. Anyway, I've been O2GT. If you have any other predictions, stick them down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.